Haparanda is a locality and the seat of Haparanda Municipality in Norrbotten County, Sweden. It is adjacent to Tornio, Finland. Haparanda had a population of 4,856 in 2010, out of a municipal total of 10,200 inhabitants. Haparanda is, despite its small population, for historical reasons often still referred to as a city. Statistics Sweden, however, only counts localities with more than 10,000 inhabitants as cities. Haparanda is located at the northerly extreme of the Swedish coastline, and far removed from large cities. Its summers are very mild for a coastal location so far north, and winters are normally not extremely cold in spite of the relative proximity to the Arctic Circle. The municipality itself, on the other hand, uses the term Haparanda stad not only for the town itself but for its whole territory. At 24 degrees 8'E, Haparanda is Sweden's easternmost settlement. History. When Sweden ceded Finland to Russia in 1809, the Finnish-Swedish border was drawn along the rivers Tornio and Muonio. The town of Tornio, located on the island Sunsari in the river delta, became part of the Grand Duchy of Finland within the Russian Empire as demanded by Tsar Alexander I. At that time the town of Tornio was dominated by Swedish-speaking merchants and craftsmen, forming a linguistic island in a Finnish-speaking countryside. After the war, many of the Swedes started to develop the small village Haparanda across the border instead, eventually leaving Tornio unilingually Finnish. Haparanda was made a market town in 1821 and received its city charter in 1842. Into the early 20th century, Haparanda enjoyed commercial and political significance out of proportion to its size because of its position at the mouth of the Torn River at the head of the Gulf of Bothnia. Timber and furs from across northern Scandinavia and Russia arrived by water for shipping on to the rest of the world via the Baltic, Arctic and Antarctic expeditions of the 19th and 20th centuries, including that of Admiral Peary of the U.S., wore furs supplied by Hermansons, whose shop still stands in Haparanda, albeit closed now. Haparanda was the only open railway border crossing at the border to Russia during World War I. Sports. Haparanda, Tornio play in the second-tier bandy division in Sweden, Allsvenskan. Haparanda hosted matches in the Bandy World Championship 2001. Other sports clubs located in Haparanda include Aspluven HC, Haparanda FF. The impact of the Finland-Sweden international border. Relations between the neighboring towns have always been friendly. A large portion of Haparanda's population speak both Swedish and Finnish. Today the two towns are closely interconnected economically and socially. They constitute a trans-border conurbation marketed as Eurocity. Since Sweden and Finland are in different time zones, Haparanda is 1 hour behind Tornio. This allows a unique spectacle on New Year's Eve, when people can welcome in the new year twice. Since 2005, the cities have rebranded themselves as Haparanda Tornio in Sweden, and Tornio Haparanda in Finland. Haparanda has a railway station, but the line is now only used for freight. The station buildings are used by a youth club, and occasionally for concerts. They include what were originally customs and border control posts. This was the only route opened between Russia and Germany in World War I, and during World War II many of the approximately 80,000 Finnish children evacuated to Sweden entered the country here. Rail gauge. Haparanda is connected to the Swedish national network by the Haparanda-banan. The bridge between Haparanda and Tornio is the only direct connection between the Swedish and Finnish rail systems. The two networks use different track gauges, requiring all freight wagons crossing the border to have the cargo reloaded of the bogies exchanged. There is a dual-gauge track in a 1,435 mm and 1,524 mm for rail gauntlet track formation between Haparanda and Tornio. Buildings. An IKEA retail store opened the 15th of November 2006 in a new commercial enterprise zone at the Haparanda-Tornio border, and is the northernmost IKEA store in the world. The goods are priced in Swedish krona only. In-store signage is in both Swedish and Finnish. This single store attracts a claimed 2 million visitors every year, and has triggered piggyback development of other large-scale retail outlets and a prototypical US-style shopping mall on the site. Although shops in Haparanda itself accept euros and Swedish krona, many have closed in the face of competition from the out-of-town development. Notable buildings besides the rail station include the Stadshotell of 1900, which has a first-floor stateroom with magnificent chandeliers of Orifors glass, and the landmark pepper pot-shaped water tower, erected in 1920. It no longer provides all the town's water, only the communal hot water supply. Haparanda's uncompromisingly modern church is by Bengt Claesson of the Eld Studio, and dates from 1967, its predecessor being destroyed by fire in 1964. Plans for a new building containing a multi-purpose arena seating 2,500 and more commercial development were announced in 2013. It will be sited on the border and is due for completion by 2016. Climate. Haparanda has a subarctic climate courtesy of its northerly position, but in spite of this classification the climate is often quite mild. The marine airflow from the mild North Atlantic tempers winters in spite of the low sun, whilst Haparanda retains enough continental influence for summers to be relatively warm, especially for a coastal city so far north. This is due to the large land mass surrounding the city in most directions, as well as the brief midnight sun that normally lasts around 10 days. During summer, daylight is prevalent enough to allow daytime activities around the clock for a longer period than that. During the winter solstice, however, Haparanda only experiences 2 hours and 56 minutes of daylight. Daytime temperature average ranges normally goes between 20 degrees Celsius in summer to -6 degrees Celsius in winter, with winters being milder than many continental climates. Due to summer temperatures rapidly dropping once daylight diminishes, Haparanda does not reach such a classification.